kickers miss some time and then they get to kick again and they miss some kicks, what do you kind of do as far as expecting them to kind of kick their way out of it and get back into what they did before they came?
Yeah, so not just Kaimi, but any kicker. If you don't have a process that you're comfortable with sticking to, if you're just all of a sudden shooting from the hip, I would project that would not make you very successful for very long. Stick to the process, do what you do well, continue to focus, self-correct, and move forward. Simple as that. If you start changing who you are, you're not going to be able to be that consistent. Which all we know is that's the most successful kickers are exactly that.
Breaking down point afters, the missed ones, the missed kick. What did y'all find in those?
Yeah, just a little bit of an overcompensation, right? Correcting it a little bit too much. So nothing better than seeing the kicker self-correct, go out there and do it again the next time with the proper adjustments. So we'll continue to do that.
Frank, could you take us through the fake punt, or it turned into the punt and glanced off his foot a bit? Could you take us through that play and what it was?
Sure. Anytime, whether it's an offense, defense, or special teams, we are here to create opportunities to put our players in position to be successful, win one-on-one matchups, create an advantage, and we're going to continue to do that. So regarding of a play that happened in a game ago, we obviously need to move forward, but when those things happen, you just got to execute them better. Okay, no different than a punt return that gets you 6 yards when it could have got you 8 or 9. Just a little bit better on our execution. So creating an advantage, had an opportunity there in the look we got, just got to execute it a little bit better there. So it's not going to change anything about who we are. So questions about playing in a certain circumstance of the game, or whatever the situation, meaning of the score of the game. Like we're always going to attack. We're always going to look for ways to create opportunities for our players to have an advantage. So that's never going to change. We're always going to be on the attack.
To coach against your old team, what does it feel like for you as you head back into that building?
Yeah, so we're going up against a very, very good special teams unit. Okay, they're well coached. They have guys that have been in their core four playing and developing. That is their developmental engine of the team in Indianapolis. You see guys grow into from undrafted free agent special teams type of players into offensive and defensive players. Guys like Ashton Doolin, guys like E.J. Speed, Zaire Franklin, Matt Adams, like core players for them. George Odom can play in the secondary. Core players for them that have time to develop and grow in the kicking game, and now you see it at its all-time height. I mean, they're in their quote-unquote maturity, year 4 of being the same core special teams group. And, we're expecting, them to be at their best. It's a big challenge for us, a very big test for us. Excited to go up there and see if our guys are ready to up for the task.
You were talking about that New England gave you that look on that punt. Did they shift things up, and that's whenever you went back up to punt?
Yeah, so, our scheme is our scheme, and our ability to execute is the primary focus there. So whatever look they gave us, whatever look we gave them, everybody's got their adjustments and checks, and whether it was the exact look we wanted, or whether it was not the exact look we wanted, or it's inconsequential to the point of us just executing.
Andre Roberts is averaging career low per return and kick and punt. What do you think is holding him back in the return game, or just holding your return game back in general?
Sure. Yeah, it's one of the things about the punt return is you got to have certain opportunities. So whether we're dialing up a rush, whether we're in a short field range, are all things that are going to factor. I mean, there's also a couple of punts like in the Jacksonville game. There's a punt that hit on the tick mark / out of bounds, things like that. Opportunity weight might skew some of those numbers as well. Bottom line is you got to win your one-on-one matchups in the kick return game and the punt return game. We're going to continue to do so and continue to work on that.
How do you feel about the execution when when you guys are getting opportunities?
Yeah, it was a great kick by Jake Bailey, for example, on the one kick return there. Got squeezed out a little bit based on the return scheme, and then the kicks wide, good hang time, etc. All those things are going to factor every week. Going up against good coverage units. We're going up against a great coverage unit this week. These guys in 4 years, 17 yards was their longest punt return allowed, for example. Last week, one squirted through, even with coverage, squirted through for 18 yards, and that's the longest that they've ever allowed. Okay, so that's a tall task at hand. Not only do they have two elite gunners on the outside that affect most of it, they've got a great directional punter, Enrico Sanchez, knows how to put the ball outside of the numbers, leverage coverage, and then, you're talking about guys that cover with their hair on fire. Jordan Glasgow, Matt Adams, Zaire Franklin, E.J. Speed, the personal protector, whoever it is, Kari Willis, Sandeo, it doesn't matter. Like those guys know how to coverage, leverage the football, play off of each other. We have our hands full making sure we win our one-on-one matchups to be able to create those extra yards this week.
Do you think that with Kaimi, some of the misses could have been caused due to the fact that he had not kicked in a while and had not been able to get stretched out like he normally would have coming out of the preseason?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with it. Anytime you go out on the field, regardless of how you're feeling. I mean, this is the NFL in Week 6. Players are sore, all that other stuff. Like when you're out there on Sundays, you're expected to do your job, and you want nobody wants to do their job better than themselves, right? So those guys want to perform, things like that. That's not something coming from an injury or anything like that. We're just going to line up and continue to kick it and kick it well.
Right before that 56-yarder, there was a timeout. Was Laramie trying to come on the field in those situations? I mean, was it mixed up because he was out and trying? What was that part of that? Can you explain a little? What was going on?
Sure. You're talking about the substitution and the different. Yeah, it's just a personnel grouping. Whatever we decided, whether it was you get into the 50-yard line to whatever your quote-unquote field goal range is. Okay, at any point in time, in any game you do that, you have options. You can go for it on fourth down, you could punt it, you could do a fake, or you can kick a field goal. So relative to whatever we're deciding as a staff to do is what's going to dictate the substitutions or the tempo in which the exchange of personnel grouping on the field may change.
Well said.
That's good?
Overall, it seems like your theme you're talking about is execution and being there to execute. What in some of these is like, how do you fix that whenever those things aren't working out? Is it just practicing? I mean, how do you approach those things?
Sure. Every coach in the league will tell you the same thing. When you're talking about execution, it's going to come down to two things, technique and fundamentals. So as we continue to do that, as we continue to play fast, play aggressive, find ways to attack, it's all great. You can drop a million things on paper. Got to go out and play with fundamentals and technique. Every player on our roster is expected to do that. I'm expected as the coach to create drills and situations in practice to get them ready to do that on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get ready for Sunday. We're going to continue to do that and make sure that those guys understand this is the technique asked. Let's see if we can go out and execute it. And let's play football. Okay. See you guys in Indianapolis.
Thanks.
About Carson Wentz, what you've seen with him with the Colts?
I know, just kind of going back, of course, big fan of his early on in his career and on what he's done really in the NFL. But coming there, I know he had a few injuries early on, but, we just started really focusing in on him this past week. So you look at the last game each week. I started looking at the last game and played about as well as you could possibly play at the quarterback position. But just in the past, he's mobile. He's a big guy. He's mobile, smart. And I'm familiar, of course, with one of my better friends in coaching. He's coached at North Dakota State forever, so I know an awful lot about him. So big challenge for us. He's playing his best ball right now, and with their quarterback position playing great ball, complementing their running game. They have three excellent running backs. Good offensive line, and Baltimore really never stopped them last week. It'll be a big challenge for us.
Lovey, what are you looking for whenever you're looking at a defensive back? Whenever it seems like you move these guys around, depending on game to game, what about a defensive back do you like to see whenever you do that as a defense?
When you say when we move them around from game to game, it's the same. That's our approach for every position. If you're starting, you need to play well. If you don't play as well as we think you should, then we look for other options. What we're looking for, it's the same thing. All of our defensive backs, corners, and all need to be able to tackle. And that goes without saying. You need to be able to play man coverage, intercept the balls when you have opportunities to do that. Just overall play as a defensive back is what we look at. And we don't give out lifetime jobs, season jobs. It's you need to perform daily. And if you get an opportunity in a game, you need to perform then.
Coach, is there any consideration to maybe adding some type of blitz packages last week, going up against a rookie quarterback and against a team that had 4 offensive linemen out of the lineup?
We like our package. We believe in it. It covers everything, I think, and we're going to continue to play it better.
Why was Omenu inactive, and will he be back this week?
It's the same with everything else, John. I mean, we look for options, and Jordan Jenkins is the one defensive lineman that we hadn't had an opportunity to see. And you can only dress so many defensive linemen. We start each process over each Monday after the game, see how a player practices that week, see what the best combination that brings us that we can go with. And that's what we've done this week. Guys, can't wait to see the guys I practice today.
What led to the decision to bring Zach off the field when you guys go to nickel?
I'm sorry.
What led to the decision to bring Zach Cunningham off the field when you guys go to nickel?
Guys, it's pretty simple for everything. We put the best combination we think gives us the best chance to have success out there.
How do you feel
Period.
Zach is playing for you right now?
Zach's starting for us, so we like what he does. In the nickel situation, we like the other combination that we use out there at the end. It's pretty, why we think a certain way, what we think is always about putting our best group out there that we think we need to put out there to win games. Simple as that.
Has Eric Murray improved to be in that combination?
Eric is, he's getting better, like all of our players are. This past week, I thought Tavier Thomas did some good things, but Eric's is a part of the stable. He has played football for us, and he's just getting in position for his next opportunity.
You rotate a lot, play different guys. Do you ever concern yourself with, are we giving someone enough time to build the chemistry and then maybe the playmaking that you hope for from a guy that comes out?
I don't believe. I think the chemistry is built when you make plays while you're out there. In order to have a chance to get that chemistry, you need to play well when you get an opportunity. I think it's more about that. You get an opportunity, and if we don't like what we see and don't think that's the best, you look for other options. It's kind of as simple as that. To get chemistry and to continue to play, when you get your chance, you gotta produce. It's kind of as simple as that. We judge everybody the same way. We let everybody know why we're making any move if we have to. Just like we let those guys that initially start playing, we let them know why they were in that starting rotation. But that's what it's that way. It's a starting rotation, and then you go from there.
Coach, what have you seen from the Colts running game on film?
Excellent offensive line. That you look at what they did last week against a good Baltimore team. But it's one thing about blocking. Then you need to have running backs that can carry the ball. Of course, Jonathan Taylor, I'm very familiar with him from college, and it's not a surprise to me on him being one of the best running backs in the league for them. But they play, as I mentioned, they play two, of course, extensively, and a third, Max, an excellent football player too. So a lot of options at the running back position, good offensive line. And what sets up the running attack an awful lot is what they can do in the passing game. And of course, if Hilton comes back this week, that'll add just a little bit more.
Hilton has burned the Texans more than any receiver in the league in their history. What do you like about him, and what do you got to do?
Well, John, that's that part of history I wish I did know, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you could probably say he's burned a lot of people most of his career. He's just an excellent football player. But as far as we're concerned, it's a new year. We assume there's going to be great players on the other side of the ball at all positions. It seems like that's what we faced each week. But it's more about right now about us playing our best ball, which we haven't played. We've had moments in certain areas but just playing a complete game, that's what it's about, good football for 60-plus minutes.
What have you seen from him as he continues to play more in terms of his repertoire, pass rushing?
He plays our 6 technique position, which is over the tight end a majority of the time. And I think he's strong enough, stout enough, big enough for us to have a favorable matchup at that position. And it always comes down to defensive linemen being able to rush the passer. And I think he can rush too. He's young, and I think his best football is ahead of him. But he'll continue to play for us, and we like a lot of the things that he's done. Anxious for him to take another step also.
What has Justin Reed given you while you're looking for the right?
Sorry?
What has Justin Reed given you as you're trying to find the right combination in the secondary?
Well, when we say we're trying to find the right combination, the right conversation is us playing the guys that we play each week back there. But Justin is a versatile player. I think he can cover. He's, most safeties you don't put on a wide receiver, but I think his skill set can do that. He'll hit. He's got good size. He's a smart guy. He'll tackle. Those things.
Coach, how difficult is it coming from the cornerback position to playing the safety position and what Lonnie Johnson Jr. is doing? It seems like he's still maybe in a bit of a learning curve at that position.
Well, I think it's hard to be able to do that, yes. But I think from in college, there's a lot of players that play at the corner position and make a transition, when they get to the NFL. It's harder, but it can be done. I think you can play nickel and also transition to corner too. A lot of the same skills that you're looking at. And we look for guys that are, that have that type of ability to be able to do more than one thing.
Common Gruger Hill, he's second in the NFL among off-ball linebackers and tackles for losses. What do you see from him that allows him to get that penetration and then make the sure tackle?
Well, I should know that. I didn't know that about him. But just on how we look at him, you see he's gotten more and more reps, and when he's gotten opportunities, he's kind of stepped up to the plate. But a lot of times you have a chance to do, make some in the tackle type back plays in the backfield, knowing exactly what you're supposed to do. And he's got a good skill set. He's a smart guy. He can play the run. Those stats are saying that. And for him to be playing more in third down situations kind of tell you a little bit about what we think of him as a pass defender. He would probably talk to you about the interception that he let get away from a couple of weeks ago, but I think his football is all up there going forward.
So you talked about T.Y. Hilton earlier, but can you also talk about Michael Pittman Jr., bigger, stronger receiver? How hard is it to game plan again for him?
It's hard to game plan against the small, quick guy, the big guy. It's just we try to set up our personnel early on to be able to deal with big receivers in our division, and we're excited about having an opportunity to be undefeated in our division this week. But in our division, there's a lot of big guys that can run. Seem like in all other 3 opponents, we have to be ready for that each week. Most cornerbacks aren't over 6 feet. Very few of them are 6'1", 6'2", and it seems like all the receivers are there. But the guys are just as fast and athletic. That's just life in the NFL. And we feel like our package allows us to do that. We're not going to play man coverage every snap. We're a zone, mix in man, tight. We try to keep people off balance a little bit that way.
Well, you mentioned how there's not that many, 6-foot tall corners. Like you were talking about Lonnie Johnson earlier. I remember thinking Charles Tillman's tall corner for you in Chicago. Was there, speaking about size profiles, like when you look at a guy and see where he fits in situations, like what goes into that thinking, and is there, I don't know, is it less finding longer corners at this point in the NFL?
Well, I think every team would tell you they would rather have the tallest corner possible. For 6'4" receivers, you like to have a 6'4" corner, but you like for them to be as tall as possible. It's just skill set normally doesn't translate really with that. So you're always looking for those guys. But I don't think you have to be that big to actually play. Things you look for, if a guy is a few inches shorter, but his vertical is 5 inches more, you can get it that way. That's just a profile you're looking for. Most of the profile is not going to be that way with most corners. That's just live.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
No, I think it's a testament really to those guys. Obviously, in this league, it's hard when you go through kind of what we went through up in Buffalo, and then they did a great job last week coming and turning the page, and coming in and really working hard and putting that behind them and focusing on the new opponent that we had to deal with last week. So. Yeah, he came and he really focused on the game plan, and like we talked about last week, he's coming in and he's learning that kind of on the fly a little bit. So it's a testament to him and his capacity to be able to kind of come and process and learn from those mistakes quickly. And then you saw last week that he wasn't able to. He went out there and played a pretty clean game. Now there's some stuff that we need to clean up, but he definitely took a step forward in the right direction.
He was 12 of 13 on third and fourth down. When a guy is executing like that in kind of high leverage situations early in a game, what does it do for you as a play caller as the game progresses?
Yeah, it gives you confidence to put him in a position to go and make plays. Obviously we were able to go and string together a good first drive, and he made a heck of a play on that third down to Ant. And then kind of, you saw him really create for the first time, which was really encouraging. So, when you have players out there that are going out and making plays for you, of course you feel more confident when you get in those situations to put them in a position to go out and make a play.
What happened in the second half? What changed? What defensive adjustments did New England make to slow your offense down?
Yeah, they played probably a little bit more zone, but at the same time, you look at it. I think the first drive we were in a good. Well, obviously the first drive we scored. Second drive we came out, got into a 3rd and 2, didn't win the 1-on-1 matchup. I think the following drive we ended up having a holding penalty, getting to a 1st and 20. Anytime you're in that position, that's difficult. There was something on that following drive where we wanted to make a better read at a certain position. So I don't necessarily think it was anything they did. They were playing man and zone the first half. Probably played a little bit more zone the second. We just got to execute better. So that's kind of part of us, moving forward, and is being able to go out there and execute at a high level for the entire game, and not just for, I think it was four possessions we came out, 30 in the first half, 1 in the second half. Got to be able to maintain that, sustain that for the entire game.
How do you compensate for losing those starting tackles?
Come again, John. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Go ahead.
So when you saw what Chris Moore did to go from the practice squad to produce the way he did, what that means to you guys going forward, and did that surprise you at all?
No, I mean, if you're out there, you guys are out there, you guys see him run. He's out there every day, and he's running, and I mean, he can run for days. So he does a great job out there. When we ask him to fill in, he's come in and made plays for us, and then even when he's given a look for the defense, he does a great job. Really stressing them as far as his route running ability, his playmaking ability, and it wasn't something that was just kind of a one-time thing. Even going back to preseason, he made some big plays for us in the Dallas game, made a big catch for us in the Tampa game, I believe. So he's a guy who's has produced at the NFL level, and we're looking forward to him continuing to grow in this offense.
You lost your tackles, and of course the backups got to play in preseason. How did that play? What do you expect from him and Christian?
Yeah, expecting them to come out and do their job. Andy had a Charlie had a really good preseason. Unfortunately, he got sick at the end, so it kind of derailed him a little bit. But he was on track, and he was playing really well, and he's picked up right where he left off. So looking for him to go out there and execute at a high level, and then G, played for us in the Jacksonville week. When he's in there, you don't notice him. So as an offensive lineman, we all know that's one of the highest compliments you can get. We're looking for them to come in and play well and play physical and make sure we can get movement in the running game and protect us in the pass game.
How did Nico look in his practice yesterday?
He's looked good. He's running. Hasn't missed a beat. So it looks like he's healing up, and we'll have to see what direction we go here at the end of the week.
What's it going to take to get the running game going again?
More time?
What is it going to take to get the running game going again?
Yeah, hopefully this week or next week I'm not answering this question. doing a good job at every level. I saw Davis yesterday come in and kind of shouldered some of the blame. So yeah, some of it's there, some of it's play design, some of it's up front, some of it's with the back. So until we can get everybody really on the same page and executing at a high level, we're not going to get the results we want. So we had a good day of practice yesterday in pads, and hopefully that pays off for us in Indy.
Chris Conley's, I think, played as many snaps as any receiver, maybe outside of Brandon, but hasn't had a ton of catches. Was productive this last week. But what are you thinking you're getting out of him? Is that someone you want to get more involved?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, Chris does a great job. He does everything we ask him to do. I was really excited for him. Had a big week last week. Not just on Sunday, but during the week. He does everything we want. He's a great pro. He catches the ball when the ball comes his way. So yeah, we're going to try to find ways to get in the ball, but a lot of times it's the ball is going to find the guys that are winning, that are open. For him, that hasn't happened yet, but that's not because he hasn't won or anything along those lines. So we're going to continue to try to get in the ball, and obviously we saw on Sunday good things happen when he touched it.
Tim, you guys had 3 runs. What ended up with 101 yards rushing? Not the 3 hole. And it seems that you keep having those problems. What do y'all do that you haven't done before to try to get guys to be more disciplined?
Yeah, those penalties they're hard because there's a fine line. You want them to continue to be aggressive, and you want them to continue to block until the end of the whistle. Echo the whistle. But a lot of times those guys don't have eyes in the back of their heads. So if the ball bounces outside, like the one Mark had with Max, ball was designed to go inside. Mark saw something. He ended up bouncing out to the right. Max got exposed for just a second, and was just a hair late, and we ended up getting the penalty. You see Chris Moore on Phillips' run. He's doing a great job blocking downfield. Similar deal, like he's blocking his man. Phil makes a cut. He gets extended for a second on the perimeter, and he's a second late holding on to it. So we're continuing to stress really just the fundamentals of blocking, as elementary as that sounds. But really when you feel in your head like that time clock, like, okay, if I feel like I'm starting to get extended, just doing a good job of letting go, and whatever we got that point in time is what it is. And, I think in my time here, this is really the first time that we've had to deal with as many 1st and 20s as we've dealt with the past 2 weeks. So, they're working hard to alleviate that issue, and we have every bit of confidence that they'll be able to do so.
The first 4 games.
Justin Britt, do you have any concern that he?
Can't hear you.
Do you have any concern with Justin Britt after not practicing, if he'll be available, and if so, is Justin McCray next man up in center?
Yeah, I don't have any concern with him not practicing. JB's played a lot of football. He's started in the Super Bowl. He's playing a lot of big games. So, the biggest thing for him is to make sure that he's feeling as good as possible on Sunday. And then if we're in a situation where somebody has to step up, that's why they're here. I have every ounce of confidence in everybody in that offensive line room to where if their number gets called, they'll be able to step in and do a great job for us.
Brandon was by far kind of leading your team in targets first 4 games, and then this past game Davis spread the ball out more. Was that just a matter of what you were seeing defensively, or is that a sign of maybe Davis getting more comfortable with kind of everyone else?
It's probably a little bit of both. They were definitely doing some things to where you could tell there was a focus on him. But at the same time, other people were winning, and Davis was finding them, which is really encouraging. So even though somebody might be a primary, something pops open or somebody wins drastically, similar to what happened to Chris Conley's, his big catch on the sideline, Davis was able to see it and was able to create a big play for us. So probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, Coach Cully said that when Tyrod comes back, once he's healthy, he'll be the starter again. How does that change as far as play calling goes for you?
Oh, Don, every ounce of my being right now is focused on how I'm going to call plays against the Indianapolis Colts. So unless you know something I don't know, that's going to be Davis, and we're going to be moving forward here with that. And we don't have time to be worrying about hypotheticals or what happens when this happens, what happens when we got to find a way to win a game. So every ounce of my being, like I said, is going to be focused on how we can do that and how we can put our guys in a position to win on Sunday.
Starting to get a lot more wide receivers back. How does that go into how you evaluate that group, and what are you looking for whenever those numbers start to grow?
Yeah, looking for matchups, looking for guys that we can trust, looking for guys that are reliable, looking for guys that can make plays and produce. So I don't know if it changes the way that we're evaluating. I think it changes who we're evaluating, but that metric, that standard will never drop, depending on who's available for us. So it's good to have the more people out there, the more options we have, the better players we have out there, the better off we're going to be.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.